Welcome back to Responsibly Unhinged. It's your hosts, Kylie Kaiser.
And Quinn Collins.
Yeah, we are back. It's, I guess, not fresh off of Las Vegas, but it still feels fresh.
Fresh enough.
Fresh enough.
For
yeah.
Vegas, the recovery time on Vegas in your late 20s, nope.
My recovery time in Vegas in my 30s was sad, but I was going through it, though. That was not
You
ideal.
were kind of, yeah, you were dealt an unfair hand.
I was. I don't know if we talked about this when I was on here last time, but I've just been like chronically ill for months, and it hit me like a brick truck. Is there a brick truck a thing? I don't know.
I
Like a
don't
ton
think
of
so. I
bricks,
think it's like
or
a
like
ton of bricks or a brick wall. But you know what?
You know what would hurt though? A truck full of bricks. So I'm gonna stand by that.
I was gonna say, you know what? That sounds like a combination of the two.
Yeah, and so I didn't have the level of partying I had hoped to have, but we rallied.
We did. I think we did the best with what we had.
Yeah, and it was like we were there for like 5 days.
We were there for a long time.
That's a long
in
time in
Vegas.
Las Vegas. So I don't think if we would have been like if I would have been top tier and we tried to do that every night, I don't think we would have made it anyways.
Like Vegas is like every day is like a dog year.
Yeah. Yeah. I spent like towards the end when we were there, what day was that we kept saying that? We're like, how is that all still today? Was it the night? It was the second night of the convention, like when we were all out all night.
Honestly, I can't imagine going to like Vegas in the summertime when the days are long.
Yeah. It was long enough.
It was long enough.
But yeah, we had some good shows while we were there. We did 4 spots, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 spots. 2 were for the convention. We did a dive bar show, which was,
So good.
great times.
Was
it
it
actually
Manic
was
Monday?
really fun.
What
Yeah,
was the
Manic
name?
Monday. Shout out Krista Banks.
Yeah, that was a fun show.
That was cool. Yeah, you never know. Obviously, Austin comics know. You never know what you're going to get into at the bar show. But
Yeah.
it was in like local Vegas, and it was a totally different vibe than what was going on everywhere else.
They were the shit.
They were fun, and Quinn felt right at home.
Yeah, I loved it. I love
Yeah.
a good dive bar.
Yeah, they were fun, and it was packed out in there, so that was cool.
Yeah.
I was talking to the girl that runs it. They've been growing that a lot, so that's cool. That was fun. The 2 shows for the conference were fun. The first night, little rocky, but it was good. People just don't know how to shut the fuck up. Was the problem.
They yap.
Yeah, which to be fair, we were performing during like the happy hour after these people had just sat in like 12 hours of educational conferences not talking to each other. So I was like, okay, I get it that they're in here and they're talking. They didn't like buy comedy tickets, but yeah, they did not shut the fuck up for the first set. And then shout out to Ram, the guy that had us out. He laid down the law.
Yeah, yeah.
And
it was so fun. It was so fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like it gives good practice for the fact that like
Oh yeah.
sometimes like rooms are just gonna be like that and you have to play through. Like you can't just be like, you guys,
Yeah.
I'm talking. Like you have to like know your material, try to win them over, or like just say
Focus
like,
on the people that are listening. Yeah, 'cause, the people that were listening were having a good time.
you gotta play through.
Yes, and once he laid down the law, they were a great audience. And then the next night, luckily that happened, the first time. So then the next night, they were attentive, and it was fun. And then we did a show at V Theater, which was really cool, but we didn't know it was going to be all ages, so that was
All
interesting.
ages. No one said it was gonna be 16-year-olds, and we're over here like, yeah, back in my day,
My
like,
pussy has power.
yeah, and they're like, sick. I just found out my parents are getting divorced, and we got to go to Vegas. Like that's like it.
It was an alarming amount of people bringing their kids to that. Like, and it was like what time did we do that? Like 9?
Yeah, something like that.
It was like
a
a
and there was a
nighttime
lot
Vegas
of old
show.
people in the audience.
Yeah, everybody in there was either under 21 or over 65. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't tell us it had to be clean because it didn't. But
didn't
it was
have to
just
be clean, but I
that
was
made it
like-
weirder.
It would have been. At first, I thought he was kidding about there being 16-year-olds in the audience, and then
For the guy that had a bit about it at the beginning.
yeah, I thought like maybe he was kidding because like sometimes like when people look younger, people fuck with them on stage. It's like crowd work, but no, there were children in the audience.
It shook me. I walk out there, and Quinn definitely said it. I was like trying to change my jokes on the spot to be a
On
little
the
more
spot.
clean, and I shouldn't have done that. It was bad. I'll be honest, bad set.
It
But
was a marvelous Miss Maisel moment.
It was. I did my best, and it was humbling, but it was really cool. It was like a huge stage, and
They
the
loved
theater
my
was
white
really
snake
cool.
joke.
Yeah, they did, and they
Who would've thought?
They liked some of mine. They didn't like anything Quinn and I said about being whores. They hated it.
No,
They didn't. They weren't. The
I was like,
grandmas.
what are you, my mom?
The grandmas weren't having it, and I think the 16-year-olds were too scared to laugh.
And a lot of my stuff, like my stuff about joking about sex, is about the awkwardness of it.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was like a teen. Like a lot of my jokes are like growing up, being awkward about everything. So I thought like maybe they would relate.
Yeah.
They were not cute enough to, be slinging it themselves. So I thought maybe they'll love this.
My favorite.
The little fuggo's gonna love this.
My favorite Quinn moment of the trip is that we were walking. So Quinn had never been to Las Vegas before this.
No, I've never been to Las Vegas.
And we went, and she acted just like that the whole time. First of all, she acted like she was in a rom-com the whole time, which was beautiful.
Yeah.
But you were walking down the strip, and Quinn says, I can see the Eiffel Tower and the Statue of Liberty at the same time. What am I, God?
I know. I felt so powerful. I feel like Vegas, to me, it's always just like been in like the movies and like all this kind of stuff. And it's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. But the other thing is, the crazy part about our Vegas trip is my mom was so worried about me being in Las Vegas. Yeah. And everything was fine. My mom loves Kylie. So we had our flights perfectly aligned that there was going to be like a 45-minute overlap. And I was just going to like, you know, stick around the airport, get food, wait for Kylie's flight to get off. So the morning we wake up, Kylie's like, my flight's gotten delayed. It keeps getting delayed. So she's now delayed 4 hours from my landing time, which means I'm just alone in Las Vegas. I Uber to the hotel, like meet people.
I was so scared for you.
And then I just start wandering around the hotel, and my mom was like, "You need to just go to the room. Don't talk to anybody. Just go straight to the room. Just take a nap. Like don't look at people. Don't talk to people. Don't sit around the casino. Wait for Kylie to get there in the room." And I'm like, I am 26 years old,
and we couldn't get in the room because the lady was a cunt.
A bitch. Yeah. And I'm like, I literally could rent a car if I want. Like, I'm an adult. Yeah. And my mom's like, just go straight up to the room. Don't talk to anybody. Don't make conversation with nobody. So anyway, I did. And because I couldn't get to the room. So then I like looked up.
You talked to everyone.
I talked to everybody. And so I went up, I like looked up places that locals go. And there's this like place in Vegas. It's like right where the theater was that we performed at, which is kind of cool. But they have this like lunch special where every food item is $5.99 and you get 3 cocktails for $12. So it's like a full meal and 3 cocktails for like $19. So I just sat there and I talked to every single person at the bar. A couple of them came out and saw us do comedy while we were there. So nice.
I show up and Quinn's like, I got 9 new Instagram followers and 3 guys bought tickets to our show. And I was like, what the fuck have you been doing for the last 4 hours?
Hey, one thing about me, I got that dog in me know where I'm at. I'm barking no matter where I'm at.
She was fucking barking for our shows in Las Vegas.
It was like just the Driscoll, but somewhere else.
Yeah. It was so wholesome though too, because like I was expecting this to be like, obviously either like creepy dudes or weird stuff. And like the guy that showed up to our dive bar show, it was like he was like in a couple that you had met, right?
Yeah.
But he was like the most wholesome, like
Dwayne,
man.
so nice.
Like, yeah, shout out Dwayne.
So nice. Yeah, it was cool. And then, but that's one thing is just like, it's so, if you just sit at a bar, I feel like that's my little secret about barking is I'll go to the Driscoll or the JW Marriott because there's always conventions and a lot of times they'll stay there. But like the Driscoll is like all these old men that love to talk and they like to do stuff, anything they can do to get away from their wives. And so you just go in there and like you buy, and I know a couple of the bartenders, so it's just like you go in there and you like talk and like, oh yeah, I'm actually like supposed to be barking for their show. And I barked for the Best of Vulcan. I brought 15 of those dudes in there because they started texting their friend, like their country club friends, because they just finished the golf or something. It's like 15, 20 old dudes just rolled up, loved Mason Smith, their favorite one. And I was like, of course, rich old dudes that hang out at the Driscoll love Mason Smith the most. But yeah, you hang out, you look up when conventions get out around the downtown area, and then you just go bark right there.
Barking secrets.
You're like, you guys look. They're all in suits. I'm like, I bet y'all need something. I bet y'all need a laugh.
Yeah.
I got these comedy tickets. Use this promo code because I make money. True. And I don't say that part, but I just like, make sure you put my name in there.
Yeah. What else did we learn? Oh, we went to the strip club.
I did go to my first strip club.
That was your first strip club too? Did I know that?
That's my first like strip club. Oh. I've been to Palazzio's for steak night, but it was like early in the day.
The Hooters are I just go for the wings.
Hooters is just training wheels for strippers, but
no, yeah, we went.
I derailed. You're welcome, Dad.
We were not supposed to go to the strip. Yo, we'll get into that. We were supposed to not go to the strip club. The last night of the convention, the guy that runs it, he like wanted to bring everyone out. Great dude. He like puts most of this event on out of his pocket. It's awesome. If anyone's interested in nutrition and fitness, Real Coaches Summit, got to shout him out. He really works his ass off for that event. But we go to the place we're supposed to go, which is like, actually, we were just talking about this with like the Speakeasy vibe of Black Rabbit and coming through the barbershop. The bar we were trying to go to in Vegas, you walk through a barbershop and like there's like a secret closet door that takes you into the bar. And that's like always what this kind of reminds me of when I come down here. But the I guess they didn't have enough room for us. That place was pretty small, but we had a fuck ton of people with us.
There's a lot of
And
people.
so we walk back out to like figure out what the new plan is. And he's just got 2 buses for Spearmint Rhino outside, which is the strip club in Las Vegas, one of the big strip
really
clubs.
nice one.
And so we're 2 party buses, and we're like, I guess this is what we're doing. But fun fact, I was with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad went to the strip club with us. Which, like, I'm not diving into this today because Jesus Christ, but I haven't, not that part, but like I haven't really done the reveal about all that shit on the podcast yet because I had a whole ordeal with my family, but then some little snitch out there told my family on me, so I reconnected with my biological father a year ago. So
people didn't know that in your family?
I hadn't really talked about it yet because I hadn't talked to my parents that raised me about it yet, and I wanted to have that conversation with them first, and I also wanted to explore the relationship before I like blew that up.
Right.
And some little snitch out there listened to a podcast I was on and decided it was their job to talk to my family about it. So that was how I spent my Christmas. But it's out there now, so what the fuck ever. But yeah, that dad is the one that came with me. So I always feel like that context matters because like
Yes.
the father that raised me would not be
there. Okay?
So
Wouldn't be near it.
that's my grandpa, and put some respect on his name.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my biological dad that I've been reconnecting with doesn't live far from Vegas, so he came out to just spend like 2 of the days with us, and he's a good time. But we unintentionally went to the strip club together, so that was You know, I don't know if that was the best thing for my father-daughter healing, but
Hey, it's one of those things that, well, actually, I don't want to sound misogynistic, but it's one of those things that you could have been like, hey, you dipped for most of my life and I could be here, so.
Well, that's what's hilarious.
No
so
thanks to you.
I'm working on a bit about this right now because how can I not? Like, just your face alone was priceless, just even saying that. But I was telling Austin Young about this, and I was like, I don't know how to write this joke. He's like, I think just go up there and talk like that because
Talk about it, yeah.
Because I was sitting there with him, and the stripper that was like by him or whatever, he like, I guess at some point disclosed I was his daughter because he looks very young. Also, obviously, my family had me young. That's why my grandparents raised me. And the stripper was like, I just love y'all's dynamic. It reminds me so much of me and my dad. And I'm just like,
I would have killed myself.
well, I'm going to go buy a gun. So, hey, people that are upset about me being a comedian, go to Minworst.
It was so crazy, like sitting there at that strip club because I never knew like how much religion is still in my heart when I'm literally sitting there in the middle of all these dudes getting lap dances, and then just sitting there like, and then the strippers kept trying to make small talk with me too.
I feel like we just wanted to be their friends. We went in the bathroom and had like a whole chat about their lingerie.
Yeah, we're girls.
We're
So
girls.
it's just like, hey, you're on the clock, mama. Don't worry about me. I'm gonna, because it was like bottle service too. So like, I'm just sitting there with my vodka cran, being like, no, yeah, that blue is your color. Don't even be self-conscious. Go right up to him. That color is for you, mama. Like,
what's crazy is I was like, also because we were looking pretty banging when we went out that night, and we dressed pretty slutty, and we went into the strip club, and I'm in the bathroom, and like 3 strippers were like asking me where I got the shorts I was wearing, and I was like, I'm getting the feeling I shouldn't be wearing these in public. A bunch of strippers would like to have them. It was those like leather tie-up ones.
Yeah, they kept, I was talking to this one stripper in the bathroom, and she kept trying to get me to repeat words because I was like drunk, so my accent was super thick, and she's like, I love a country accent. Well, she didn't have a country accent, but she's like, I love country accents. And she like started telling me about how like her sugar daddy is from Texas. And I was like, oh, wow. We don't relate on a lot of things.
You also met a guy from Austin, Texas that was from the convention. That was weird.
And he had my least favorite name on the planet. And
that's true.
He was weird.
He was weird.
He does stuff for like TRT.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's just like revved up all the time. Just a horned up little fucker. So I gotta. He said he was from Austin, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Too close to me.
It was cool because they like we had a good time because we just treated it like we were at like a club, not a strip club, because they basically there were so many people. I don't want to know how much your mom's bill for that shit was because it was like bottle service for like we had like a whole half of the club's booths rented out, and we were all just like walking around in those. So we were just like walking around talking to people and shit. It was fun. I was laughing at the next day you were talking about like just the moment you had where you said you like zoomed back out of what was happening, and you're like, me and you were standing outside smoking and just having this like deep heart-to-heart about our life, like standing outside the strip club, like smoking, like having the most intimate girls conversation of our lives.
Like me just like
4 a.m.
full Appalachian mama, just like, and you know what, you are gonna be a star. And anyone who's you need to leave them boys alone. Just be mean to them because you're a star. And all these strippers like just being like, Me too. I'm like, you too, mama.
Well, and that one guy that wouldn't shut the. Was that guy? What was that guy I keep trying to argue with about? He was talking about like being Jewish or something.
Yeah, he was trying to tell me I'm Jewish because I'm from Ukraine, and I was like, hey, sure.
This guy was just.
I'd love a free trip right now. Well, rather not right now, but like.
maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year. I'm so stupid.
That was fantastic. Yeah, that was fun. And then we got back. Actually, that night I had the most fun, but it was like not even the going out. We went back. So my good friend Caleb, longtime listeners know he used to produce this podcast, producer Caleb, as we called him. And he's a real G, but he moved to California like 2 months ago. And so he was at this convention and he hung out with us, gem of a guy. And we all went out together and we came back. Well, my dad took us all to the dispensary since it's legal there.
Yeah, that's really
and
cool.
Got us the stuff we wanted. And I bought this like huge joint that's like shaped like a cross. And so it burns on all three ends. And it was for the photo op entirely. But also it was sick. So we could all just like rip that thing. So we went back to our hotel and just sat out in like the really pretty like patio, like grassy area. And the three of us just got stoned out of our minds.
Yeah, I got the zoomies so bad.
Yeah, Quinn's just doing laps around the yard. Like,
yeah, there's this like giant yard because like there's this like stage thing that they do in the summertime, and like we didn't have an ashtray, but there was an ashtray in like one of the cabanas, like on the other side.
Caleb wanted the ashtray. I was like, I'll get it.
And then I was just like, well, that felt really nice. So then I started running like around everywhere.
We were just having the crew.
Lana Del Rey's like playing in my head.
That was such a good time though. Like just sitting out there, and Quinn. Like one thing about Quinn, fun fact for y'all, she doesn't smoke very often. Like she loves a THC drink.
I like a little bevy, a little THC
beverage,
bevy.
But you don't smoke actual like bud very often.
No.
And you did for the sake of Vegas, and we were just zooted. Like we were telling you had me in tears. I spit my water out across the fucking circle at some shit you were saying. Like it was so funny, and we were just telling these like horror stories from men and hooking up and stuff.
I forgot I told you about the horse story.
Yeah, you told us some. We talked about some terrifying sex stories that we have had, and Caleb was just sitting there like soaking it in. Like,
my horse
what the
story. The horse story cannot be led by. Yeah, there were some crazy other sex stories. We had to separate. We're talking about our childhood sex stories.
Leave it to the audience.
I didn't fuck a horse.
Well. Do you feel the need to elaborate? Do you feel the need to defend yourself right now?
Okay, I will. And it's because so it was like grew up in East Tennessee. There's Cades Cove there, and you can ride horses through Cades Cove. So I'm like 13, 14, fucked up, not cute at all. And when you ride a horse, I don't know how many people.
Oh, yeah, this is the story. I was trying to remember where this is going. Sorry.
If my mom's listening, don't listen to this.
Shut it off, Beth.
Shut it down, Elizabeth. But anyway, we went horseback riding in Cades Cove. I'm like 13, 14, like super unfamiliar with what's going on puberty-wise. I'm just mad all the time. I'm on Accutane. And anyway, when you ride a horse, you have to like kind of like hump it a little bit. So anyway, I'm like doing that, and all of a sudden I'm like feeling crazy. And then
Quinn had her first orgasm on a horse.
Yeah,
that's the punchline.
But I didn't know that's what happened. I just was like, oh my God. And then like I just like felt weird. I knew it was a sin somehow in my heart. And then because I just felt weird. And I didn't want to ride horses for like like 6 years after that. But anyway,
wouldn't it be crazy if you grew up and like could not come anymore, and then you found out it's because you only could do it by riding horses?
Part is, I'm like at this point like 17, 18, probably latter of 17, and I have a boyfriend, and we're doing stuff, and he does it right, and then all of a sudden I just go, wow. That hasn't happened since the horse. And like,
that's when I spit my fucking drink.
And he just goes, what? And I go, don't even worry about it.
Caleb was just like,
it doesn't matter.
He's like, I'm trying to put myself in the male perspective of like getting a girl off and her saying that hasn't happened since the horse.
Hey, we're already doing this in the church parking lot. Let's not open another can of worms.
The fact that you don't have a joke about that is insane.
Oh my God.
That's a great punchline.
I know
on
I
its own.
should, but it's just like, I've just recently kind of just like,
You repressed that for a while.
there's a lot of stuff I repress that it's like, there's a reason I started doing comedy, but then like sometimes I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. That's embarrassing. And I also don't want people to know just like how fucking weird I was in high school.
Yeah, there's not a lot of things. Like, there's always those memes and TikToks that are like people comment and they're like, you couldn't waterboard this information out of me. There's not much of that with me. I'm pretty open about just trauma dumping my shit on everyone. But like, there are a few things that it's like, that's going to the grave with me. It's too embarrassing.
I love talking though, so I don't have that thing in your brain that makes you not say things.
Yeah,
Wasn't born with that. But the other thing is sometimes like when I talk about just how weird I was in like early high school, middle school, it was so bad. And then like somebody said something like, I don't know, a few months ago, they're like, I just feel like you never had an awkward phase, like hyping me up so bad. I'm like, that's true. And if you look me up on Facebook, I'll kill your entire family.
well, you can go on and they'll fucking expose you because that's what I just did.
Oh, yeah.
My God. They didn't give any warning, even though they said they did. And yes, I'm throwing shade, Grace and Dulce. I love you guys.
I
But
have my Facebook so privatized.
me and Carlino showed up for that podcast, and they're like, "So we told you the concept of this, right?" Both of us were like, "No." They're like, "Oh, we're about to roast everything we found about you on social media from middle school and high school." We're like, "What?" Like, they're like, "I know we told you that." I was like, "No, you didn't."
Don't.
It was humbling.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I moved into a new place.
You moved into your new place. Your yard has plenty of room for the Zoomies.
Yeah, and it's like one of those. I'm so in like a perfect area too of Austin, but it's to the point now where it's like I feel like where I'm at makes dating so hard because like all these dudes live in like almost Round Rock, like Pflugerville, and they're like, oh, you should come over. And I like both my jobs are in downtown. I go, you should come over, and I'm like, yeah, you live in Pflugerville.
I dated
At
that.
that point, we are star-crossed lovers.
That little buddy guy lived in Leander.
Oh my. I
Yeah.
don't even know where that is.
It's past.
Leander Rhymes.
It's past Round Rock and Pflugerville. It's like an hour from east. I've always lived east. When I lived in Riverside when I was seeing him, but I only drove out there once. He always came down here because he like worked in the Domain, so he would just like come from there.
One time, there's only one guy that's ghosted me to the point where I was embarrassed, and this is the same guy. He was like, do you like listen to Busta Rhymes? And I was like, is he related to Leanne Rhymes? And he didn't laugh at all. And I was like, that's how I knew this guy sucks, because that was funny.
Is this the ginger?
Yes.
Why don't we tell the audience how you went about hitting him up?
I might get in trouble, but so I found this meme where it was calling him a homophobic slur, and I just sent it to him. First of all, I deleted and took off his number from my stuff, and I looked it up, and then I just sent him a meme that was just calling him gay, and he didn't. He never replied.
And Quinn says he must have a girlfriend. I don't know why else he wouldn't answer that.
He's cuffed. He's
I'm
off
like,
the
yeah, I
market.
can't imagine why he didn't respond to you being like, yo, so you're gay.
So if you didn't like me,
You must be gay.
must be gay.
Months later, months of silence. And
Yeah, I haven't talked to him since like November.
And you send it as a meme too. That's even like no context.
None.
Honestly, it's his loss.
He's obsessed with me.
Yeah, he must be. He must be. He must be. Yeah, that's been new. I don't know. Has much else gone on since we got back from Vegas? Well, a lot's been going on with me, but not anything I really want to talk about today. Well, I might have to kill a bar regular, but that's fine.
Oh yeah, I wish you would. I think that sounds fun.
I did have sex with him for context. That's what's happening. But it was actually on the last podcast I was talking about that I was having good sex. It comes with a price. It always comes with a price.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're done
that's
with
where the
that.
dad being gone for a long time comes in.
My dad and mom, bitch. There's no helping me. I've given up. But we are done with that now
We're done.
because he's crazy.
We're done because I have a gun. Which I don't have like a brilliant taste in men. I want to act like I do. For me to have no daddy issues, like my dad's like my best friend, and I'm gonna choose dudes that hate me. Which, I don't like them either. That's the problem. Anyway,
Maybe it's like a church rebellion thing.
yeah,
That could be.
maybe because they all look like Jesus.
Yeah. For you, they. You want to hear a fucked up joke I heard the other day?
Yeah.
They were saying, like, we find it ironic that Jesus was a carpenter and died on the cross. Like, died on a piece of wood. I felt like that was fucked up.
That is messed
But I
up.
did laugh a lot.
Man.
What else is messed
You
up?
die doing what you love, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, he died doing what he loves. I think that's the joke. I think we're gonna probably get into some other embarrassing stuff because I made up a little game for Quinn and I to do for the second half of this podcast. We're gonna see how it goes. So,
I'm scared.
This is gonna be our segment, which I think this would be fun to like make a guest do this at the end of the episode, like pick just one or something.
Oh,
too.
yeah, that'd
like
be
when we have
cool.
guests on. We're gonna start bringing guests next time, I think. But yeah, this is best worst first. That's what we're going to call the game. So for people who are just listening, I got two very neat piles of scrap paper up here. So one pile has best, worst, and first, and the other pile has topics, basically. So they're related to sex and dating. And we're going to pick one. So you're going to either pick best, worst, or first, and then you're going to pick a topic with it, and you have to share your story. So, like, date is in there. So you can either tell your first date story, your best date story, or your worst date story. That's how this is going to work.
Will you go first? Because when people explain the rules of a game to me,
figured.
I just hear static.
Yeah. I'm the same way. When people are explaining games, I hear like the noise from like the Peanut parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
No,
That's
I
me.
just hear like that, like,
Yeah.
that's all I hear when people explain card games. No.
It's very simple. I was mostly explaining it for the audience.
I
but-
think I'd be good at poker because my poker face would be brilliant because I really wouldn't know what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, you don't know what's happening, so you're not going to give anything away.
I'd just be like, that's crazy.
Well, if we draw something and we'll just draw until we feel like we're bored of the game or we don't have time anymore. But if we draw something that you don't have something for, we'll just kind of see where the topic goes. But because some of these work better than others, and I didn't have a ton of topics, but we can keep on going back in. So, all right. Try not to look at them. That's the key here. This would have been better if I had like buckets or cups, probably. All right. So I have best and best date. So I'm going to share my best date story I've been on. Did that track for you?
Yes.
Okay. I said, did you just start hearing white noise again when I said that? Best date story. I don't have a lot of those. I have to be honest.
Sick.
No, that's kind of been my like ongoing thing is like I don't have a lot of good dating experience. Like I think that's why my standards are so poor. Like I think I had definitely the best date I've been on since I moved to Austin. I would say it was really simple. I'm more of like I was talking about this on another podcast I was on recently. Is like I don't really care about like the like the cost or like the fanciness of a date. I care about like the intent that someone put into it or just like, you know, putting like making a plan and being
I like to lie about that
something.
too.
No, I'm not. You don't understand. When you have not been taken on dates like at all, you mean it. Like I dated a man for 5 years that thought Olive Garden was a fine dining restaurant. So like I really have poor
A family
dating
man.
standards. Yeah. Fun for the whole family. I really have like not high standards for dating. So I'm working on that. But I just want people, I think right now it sucks because like just men aren't like, they don't make any plans at all. Like they want you to
They're
do
all
it. They don't
sassy.
set a time.
They're
like
so
they don't,
sassy.
nobody knows how to make a fucking reservation anymore. Like that kind of shit drives me nuts. I don't care where we're going, just like know what we're doing. So I went on a Tinder date actually last year, I think. And it was just like really good communication about the date and then like setting a date and time. And then I think we just went to Zilker Park and he had like a little like blanket and picnic basket and wine and we like watched the sunset. Like he like picked the sunset time and we just like chilled there and just talked. We like walked around the park for a while first and then like sat there. And then we were like still just talking a lot. So he's like, oh, we can go get food. And we just like went to this really like cool Mexican restaurant I'd never been to. And that was really it. But it was just cute. And I was like, this is a way for like, because I feel like a lot of guys get caught up on like, I don't have the money to take girls out or to take them to do something nice. And they like think they have to have this extravagant thing. And I was like, if we wouldn't have even went to that Mexican restaurant, that whole date cost him a bottle of wine. That was not, you know, you can get a $10 bottle of wine. Like that's all that cost him. And it was just like one of the better dates I've had just because it was like so cute and intentional and like the timing of it to make sure, like he made sure like by the time we were sitting down, it was like when the sun was setting. Like,
Was there a second date?
Plan. Sort of. Yeah. That was a weird day. The second time we hung out, I went to his place and
Obviously.
yeah, and so this guy like traveled a lot. Whenever we went on the date, he had just spent the last 6 years traveling outside the US. So he had just gotten back. Like we literally texted on WhatsApp and shit still because he didn't even have like a SIM card here yet because he was like he got back like 2 weeks from then. So and then
If I could message a man on WhatsApp, I'm like, oh, he's got a wife.
yeah, probably. But he was like, I was traveling then, like once we went on our date, like I went to Nashville and then I was like getting booked. So it's like I canceled on him like twice because of comedy shows. And so it was like a lot of space between by the time we hung out again. And I was kind of just like not really pursuing it. Like it was cool, but he's another guy who was like telling me that he had not really done a lot of monogamous relationships. Like he had been in like his last 2 had been open. And so I was kind of like, I don't really know if I want to do that anyways, but he was cool. So I was like, we'll see. I just wasn't putting a lot of effort into it. And then by the time we hung out, it was after I did a show and we were messaging and he was like, well, do you want to meet up now? And I didn't really want to go to the bar at midnight. So he was like, well, you can just come over if you want. If that doesn't make you uncomfortable. So I like went to his place and we just like smoked weed and hung out at his place for a while. And it was cool. Like it was a cool vibe again. But then he like wanted to hook up and, you know, fine. I was fine with it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
Yeah. I was going to say, I was like, you act like you were like, oh. I was like, you were like, second date? That's crazy. Would have already happened on the first.
First of all, wasting time.
I fuck on the first date. I'm not ashamed to say it. But I don't know. It was weird because he had already expressed to me that, you know, he's typically been in non-monogamous relationships, right? And so, and he had told me that that wasn't like what he's always done and he wasn't like completely set one way or the other, which is like how I have friends like that. So it's like, it was whatever to me. But I'm like, that means I don't know. And at this point, I still don't even know your last name. And I wanted to use a condom and he like, was like, oh, I can't stay hard if I have a condom on and like all this stuff. And I was like, well, I'm not going to have sex with you then. And it was just like this whole awkward thing, but it was like so late and I was so stoned that I had to stay there. And so then he wanted to like still like mess around, but I was like, I don't really feel like doing that. And so we like hooked up a little bit and then he just ended up like masturbating next to me and like came all over my arm. And that was like how that ended. So, and then I never talked to him again. Yeah. So
cradling his kids.
Pretty much. It was so awkward. Like I was just like, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Hey,
like,
I know he said he keeps his arm on his sleeve.
Because he just kept like asking about it and like was just, like he was like, oh, I swear that I'm clean and like all this stuff. And I was like, I bet.
Yeah, brother.
I need to see receipts from the test you took today. Like for me to believe you. Like not doing that shit. Like I do have some standards. I don't be fucking on the first date like a wild child. You know, we're just not out here just spreading around the clap. We're not trying to do that.
Hey,
you know?
round of applause. You know.
So yeah, but that was probably like one of the best first dates I've had. The actual like best first date I had like emotionally was like the first date I went on with my ex of 5 years, but it wasn't because the date was special. It's just like that's like speaking of just like the chemistry I had on the date, I think, you know. But that wasn't like the date itself wasn't like anything crazy.
Sometimes it's hard for me to know how good a date really is because I'm so fun.
Oh, I think about that all the time.
If I can be honest, I am having fun because I'm fun.
Yeah.
But when I do meet somebody who is actually also fun, then I'm obsessed with them.
My therapist had this conversation with me before. I was talking about like dates I was going on and being like, well, I don't know. I just feel like it was really fun. Like we were laughing a lot and like da-da-da. And she's like, so you think he was funny? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, tell me one funny thing he said. And I like couldn't think of it. And she was like, I think sometimes you're having a good time on the dates because you're a very like personable social person and it's easy for you to like make fun in a room that you are in. Like, so a lot of times you're laughing because you were probably like propelling the conversation to a place that would like make him say something funny or you were laughing over something that like you initiated.
Yeah, sorry for being a riff master, Doc. I don't, you know.
Yeah. There's like, I saw a guy's bit about that the other day that was talking about that when he gets home and they were like asking if there's gonna be a second date with this girl and he was like, probably not. And they're like, oh, I thought you had a good time. And he's like, of course I had a good time. I was there.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's how I feel a lot of the time.
Yeah. But, all right. So I should throw these back in because you could still tell your own story of one of these, right? So
yeah.
We should keep them all in. Yeah. All right. Don't cheat and look at them.
Can't read.
That's true. When you pull it, if you need me to read it, I won't tell anyone. With them nails, it's going to be outrageous.
Okay. Best breakup.
Ooh, the best breakup. That's a interesting one.
The best breakup is all of them because they're the fuck out of my life. Am I right, ladies?
Is there one that like it was like the most like less like probably least toxic or less stressful or like cleanest break? You don't have any of those?
No. I feel I think it started out with good intentions. Like my longest term relationship, when we broke up, we should have broken up 3 months earlier. maybe even a year.
Yeah.
You know, we should have been broken up way before that. But by the time we broke up, it was an ugly initial breakup. But then, like, we talked about it after and was like on good terms. We just agreed that we'd grown out of each other in different ways. Like, we still have a lot of love for each other. Like, could see each other being friends down the road. We're not. And I handled the breakup. I went buck wild. He went buck wild. We just hurt each other a whole lot. But like, the initial breakup was healthy. But I don't think I've ever had like a breakup where I speak to them ever. Everyone I've ever broken up with, I don't speak to ever.
Well, I think that could still constitute as a best breakup, because honestly, sometimes I think the worst ones are when you like drag out this toxicity of like being on and off.
Well, sometimes
after.
people are on good terms, like they still follow each other.
Right.
They're just like, oh, it's fine. Everyone I've ever even like talked to, dated, like I have nothing to do with them.
They all block me.
Well, I block them. Well, it's one of those like when I'm done with somebody, I am so done. Like I don't ever talk to them again. Block them.
That's the Leo in you. My friend Chelsea's like that.
I know. I just don't ever. Like the day I break up with somebody is the last time I talk to them usually, unless they reach out to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
yeah.
Or I send them a meme at 2 a.m. calling them gay.
What's your? Have you had to break up with a lot of people?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, or I'll manipulate it into where it was their idea, so I don't feel like an asshole.
We already went into Quinn's manipulation problems on the last podcast. So.
I'll just be like, for the most part, it's like it's hard for me to break up with somebody because then they're like, the last dude I like kind of dated, I feel like I had tried to end things a few times.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, no. And I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
You know what? True. And then like finally it just got to such a bad point that I was like, I'm just getting my stuff. Have it ready for me at your door. We're done.
Yeah.
But that I think that's like the only one.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I was just like, yeah, fuck this.
Yeah.
And even then, he had like the last word. He was like, okay, we're done, and texted it. And I was like, sick.
Yeah.
I end a lot of situationships myself.
Right. Yeah. I was gonna say it's confusing now to like, I don't know. I like the rhetoric now when people are like, okay, at this point we have to start acknowledging your situationships are your ex. Like it's the same shit.
You kind of have to.
You have to. It's confusing otherwise. But it's like I think I've only dumped.
I hate the term situationship.
So do I. It's terrible. I think I've only dumped 3 people. But like situationship wise, those are always just weird. Because a lot of times those just end without either person ending them. They just end in some weird like
they just go
ghosting
awry.
Or distancing. Yeah, but actual relationships, I've only dumped 3 people. But I've had a lot of. Well, I didn't have a lot. I had like 2 long-term relationships, and so that took up like a lot of my years. So I didn't have a lot of people to dump. But otherwise, I was dumped. So
all of mine have been pretty mutual.
I must say, I realized this recently. I thought that it would be the opposite, but I actually prefer to be dumped than to be the dumper. It sucks real bad.
Oh, I love to be dumped because then I get to like.
Yeah, I get to be dramatic about it.
I get to be dramatic. I get skinnier.
Yeah.
I get to be like, I'm back on the market, and I don't feel like an asshole because like if you're like dressing up like a slut and going out and like you're again because I dumped him.
Yeah, then you look like a villain.
Then whatever. But like when you get dumped, you're like, woe is me.
Yeah, exactly.
Bought a new push-up bra.
That's exactly how I feel about it. Like I was like, okay, it really sucks to get dumped, but then you get to like just dwell. Like all your sad music is better. Like all that shit is great, and then like you get to be the one that just like sits there with the woe is me feelings.
I always
about,
get
like,
prettier after I get dumped.
Yep, you have like the motivation to have a glow up, and also you're like. You know, you can just like have these things where you're just like dwelling on them in a really dramatic like rom-com way. It's like, why wasn't my best good enough? Like,
that's the thing about me is
blah,
I
blah.
romanticize everything in my life every day.
Yeah, as you should.
Like all the time. Because like sometimes like I feel like I have a decent, like because my therapist will even say like I'll have a decent outlook on things where she's like, sometimes it seems like you're repressing them. Mm-hmm. But in my head, I'm not. It's just like life happens, that sucks. I'm going to make it like not necessarily romantic, but it's like everything can be like a movie if you want it to be.
Yeah.
You live once and then you die. And then so if you like were a little dramatic, everything was like kind of movie-esque.
Yeah.
You like, cared too much, you loved too much, you were too much all the time. Who cares? You're going to die.
Yeah. Well, feeling like you did your best and it wasn't good enough can fuel you into like a rage that's therapeutic. But having to look at somebody else in the eyes and tell them they did their best and it wasn't good enough
womp, womp,
doesn't feel good. But that's also
I thought you went the other way.
No, like that's also my problem though. I probably wouldn't feel this way if it wasn't for the fact that like the 3 people I've dumped are all like nice people that didn't really do anything wrong. I like have the mental illness where when they're awful, I just stay forever until they have to break up with me because it's so toxic. And the nice guys are like the ones that I'm like, I guess I have to do this. So that's probably why I feel like breaking up with people sucks so bad. Like it probably doesn't suck to break up with somebody that's been a shithead, but I've broken up with 3 like nice guys.
Yeah.
That just weren't for me, but they were nice. And 2 out of the 3 of those, the first 2, I did very terribly. Like that's how I know I'm bad at it.
Ooh, yeah.
Like, really bad.
Yeah.
The second one was okay. Just how I behaved after was bad. Because
when I break up with somebody, it's usually like I'm pretty good at communicating like exactly how I feel about something with like receipts, and then like I'm like really quick to be like, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
And like,
do you have any questions?
they don't love that, but it's to me it's like I don't want to like bombard someone. For the most part, I don't think anytime I've ever broken up with somebody, it's particularly like blindsided.
Yeah.
Where it's like I come and especially once I can tell like there's an issue, I can't be with you, and they try to gaslight or manipulate the situation.
Yeah.
I'm just shutting it down.
Yeah.
Because like I don't. The whole like people not believing in being gaslit, stuff like that. Like if you don't believe that's what you're doing, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have to listen to you regardless of what you believe you're doing.
Right.
And then I'm done.
Yeah.
End of conversation. I don't have to continue the conversation if you're going to make me feel crazy. I can walk away. That's the thing about your phone is you can literally turn it off. Like you can literally not text them back.
Right.
So it's like if I feel like I've made valid points, I'm just telling you genuinely how I feel. That's how I'm not wrong in how I feel.
Right.
Like if I was like, you said this and he didn't say that, and genuinely, that's one thing. But like how you made me feel and how you said something, that's just correct.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm really good at just being like, here it is. Do you have questions about that? Because I can elaborate.
Yeah.
One thing about me, I'll elaborate. But a lot of times I'll just like make you feel crazy. Be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, that's so crazy. That my biggest thing is you can like flip the script, because if they genuinely act so like dumbfounded, like they don't know anything you say, they don't remember anything. Like they're like, oh, I don't know what that means. You're like, oh, well, I'm sorry. I thought they were more educational on the short bus. I don't know. You can just be like, I don't know.
This is feeling real relevant.
Yeah, that guy's crazy, dude.
That guy's crazy. You know, the worst I did at breaking up with someone was the very first time I ever did it, and I was in high school. And so I had this guy that was like sweetheart man. He was like my rebound. I dated a guy for 2 years in high school. That was the one I talked about. That was like 19. I was 15. That whole thing. Yeah.
Sick.
So yeah. So by the time we broke
Statutory.
up, yeah, parents loved that. Actually, they did like him a lot. But whenever we broke up, I was devastated. Obviously, my first heartbreak. And then this really cute guy, like way cuter than him, was on the football team. All the cute stuff. I was a cheerleader. It was like a little high school rom-com. And he liked me, and I was thrilled, and I started dating him, and we dated for a couple months, and I took this guy's virginity, so he was like very attached, very sweet man, boy at the time, I guess. And then the other guy, like the guy that had dumped me, my long-term relationship, like tried to make a reappearance, and I was obviously like not over it, and I just like decided that I was going to go back to that guy, but I didn't know that was going to happen initially, obviously. And that guy showed up at a party while my boyfriend was grounded. And so my ex, literally went behind my back and called my parents from this party and was like, hey, my ride left me here. Because he went to a different school, so he didn't live close by. He was graduated then. He wasn't in school anymore. But he had went to high school.
He's stupid, too.
Well, he had went to a different school, so he lived in a different town. And he calls my parents and was like, I don't have a ride like anymore. Cause we don't live in the land of Ubers, nor where I think that even they were invented by then. This is like 2008. And so he calls my mom and dad to ask them if it's okay if he comes and stays back at our place because he's there without. And my parents loved this guy. It was very annoying. And so then he comes up to me and tells me he already talked to my mom and needs to stay at my house. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, you know, I was like, I have a boyfriend.
How old were you at this time?
I was 16.
This is such
16 or
Ohio
17.
behavior.
Yeah, 16. It is Ohio behavior. Oh, wait, it gets worse. That's what I said. That's why the story's worth telling. I was like 16 or 17. So I go back home. He's with me. My best friend comes home with me too because I was like, I can't go home alone with him. Like I'm too nervous or whatever. So my best friend comes back home with me, and then she brings another girl with her too. So 3 of us girls and my ex-boyfriend go back to my house, and I go downstairs, and he's like obviously telling me all the shit, right? He's like, I want to get back together. Like I missed you, blah blah blah. I'm like all in it. So my basement has like no cell reception, and I go upstairs with my little flip razor phone, send my current boyfriend a text that's just like, yeah, I don't think this is working, and dump him over text, and then go back downstairs to where I have no cell reception and have sex with my ex-boyfriend. And then I go back upstairs, and my two friends that were upstairs drinking out of my parents' liquor cabinet were like freaking out, like running in from my patio. And I was like, what's going on? And they were like, so-and-so, like the guy I just dumped. We'll call him football boy, I guess. She's like, he's outside and he has a gun.
Yo.
And I was like, what? And I look at my phone. He had called me 27 times.
I would have fallen in love.
I should have, because let me tell you, he had called me 27 times. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? And she's like, I guess you have to go out there. Like, he's got a fucking shotgun. And because my parents had like a barn driveway. So he was like out in the barn driveway. He's also already grounded. That's why he wasn't at this party. So he snuck
That's
out
so crazy.
with a gun and was parked
Grounded with a shotgun.
Grounded with a shotgun. Parked out in my second driveway. And I run out there, and my friend grabs my shoulder, and she's like, you are literally wearing that motherfucker's shirt. Like, I was still wearing my ex's shirt. She's like, you cannot go out there while he has a gun in that guy's shirt. So I had to go back inside and change. And I come out, and he's just, like, crying in my driveway. It was so crazy.
Me.
And he's like, I just want to talk to him. I know he's inside. And I was like, he's not here. Like, trying to lie. And he's like, somebody told me at the party you left with him, like, blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, I'm not leaving here till I talk to him. I'm not going to hurt him. I just want to talk. And so I was like, all right. So I go back inside and bring this
All
man.
right, I believe you.
You know what? Honestly, teenage dream to sit and watch two men fight over me in my driveway. So I go back outside, and they make me sit in the car. Which, first of all, I'm freezing. And the ex who the guy I just dumped that has a gun is the one that gave me his jacket, not the guy who I just dumped him for. Should have been my first sign. So gives me his jacket, and I sit in the car while they're talking. And I get back out of the car when they're done. And the guy I broke up with just, like, gives me a hug and is like, I'm sorry, like, have a nice night, like, whatever, and, like, leaves. And
Pussy.
I ask the guy I just dumped him for, I'm like, what just happened? And he was like, man, what a nice guy. And I was like,
Dudes are so crazy.
and I was like,
dudes are
what?
so wild
And
about that.
dude. And I was like, what? And he was like, oh, he just wanted
kissed.
I was watching the whole time. And he was like, oh, that guy, like, he just said that he's never felt the way he feels about you with anyone. But so, like, all he cares about is your happiness. And if I'm the one that you want, then he just wants you to be happy. And he just told me not to fuck it up and not to hurt you more, because he's, like, seen how hard it's been for you. And he just really wants the best for you. And he's sorry that he freaked out, but he was just, like, really in love with you. And he's just, like, wants the best for us.
What's he doing now?
Which one?
The one that just
The
bent
nice
over.
one? Oh, well, fun fact. So after that, though, that was a nice moment. Then
Is he in federal prison?
No, he kind of spiraled a little bit, though, and got a little, like, not stalkery, but, like, he was just, like, blowing me up a lot, like, asking all my friends where I was all the time, like, shit like that. But then he started dating a different girl on my cheerleading squad and came up to me drunk at a party, told me that he was dating her to make me jealous. He's now married to her, and they have 4 kids.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's so Ohio, man.
Yeah.
That's so Ohio.
A man showing up in my driveway with a gun when I'm 17 years old is Ohio core.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he got grounded again. So, real bummer for him.
Oh, little bad boy.
Little bad boy. The other guy is also married to, so clearly
They're
that
all
guy-
married. Okay?
Clearly
They live in Ohio.
They're all married, but clearly that motherfucker who I dumped him
Ohio
for
is for lovers.
was not it. Like, he's over here. I clearly made the wrong choice in that scenario, and we just hooked up for a couple more months, and then he basically told me then that until I graduate high school, it's just starting to make things weird. So just now, this is a problem.
Damn.
And then
I was a virgin all through high school.
but then he proceeds to start dating a girl a month later that's a whole nother year younger than me.
Hey, Matthew McConaughey said it best.
And he's now
Hey.
married to her.
They
Isn't that crazy?
what is it? I keep getting older. They say the same age or something.
Taylor Swift said that.
That's a is that the Dazed and Confused
Dazed
lyric?
and Confused,
Oh,
yeah.
I was talking about that. We were talking about that other lyric that she has.
She might have quoted Matthew
Maybe.
McConaughey. A legend.
Yeah, could be. But anyways,
Damn.
draw your next one. Or is it my turn?
I don't think it's your turn.
Oh, I just talked so long. You can go. I told a bonus story.
What if I get the same thing?
Oh, yeah, put it
Oh,
back.
fuck
Put it
me.
back. What'd you get?
Worst sex.
Oh, can't wait.
I have like a few that are just well,
Same.
for me, like I said, I was very late in the game. I was college, so I think for me, I lied about not being a virgin.
Yeah.
And
I also don't think that's late. I think, like, societally now people just have sex really
it was
early.
embarrassing to me because all of my friends, I mean, like small town vibes, like, you know, like,
yeah.
to me, it's like, because here's the thing, it wasn't really by choice.
Mm-hmm.
I had strict parents, and like even then, it was like the dude that I was like hopelessly in love with like never made a move on me, like ever. Took me to prom, like just didn't, never. Anyway.
Well, he was gay.
I don't know, his whole thing.
He was gay.
me, anytime a guy like just doesn't like want to be with me. But anyway,
no, but he literally came out.
Different guy.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like, that literally was true.
But
that's why you have that complex, though. I feel like that's where that started. That you're like, if they don't like me, they're just gay.
Probably, and I was in theater, so
that makes sense.
I don't believe it. But I don't know. I think like I kind of like a little like a kind of a bit about it, but it's like I was gonna. We didn't like actually have sex, but I was like about to hook up with this guy and lied about being a virgin because I was like at UT Knoxville and didn't really have a whole lot of experience, whole thing, and he like was asking me about like very specific things, and he was a junior. I was a freshman in college, and I was like, I remember he would like text me about stuff, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm into that. I wouldn't even look it up. I was just like, yeah, that's super cool with me. Love that.
Yeah.
And then I get over to this house or his like apartment, and he like lives in this disgusting apartment on campus with like 3 other dudes, and they're all nasty. Like looking back, they're like 22, and I'm like, that's so crazy to think about that. I thought they were so old, and I was like, wow, I'm 19, he's 22. Gross. And but anyway, he like asks me if I'm into BDSM, and in my head, I was like, I don't know what I thought it was, but I was like, yeah, but like, what is that? Like when like you do it, like what does the B stand for? I said that. And then I remember I'm like looking around the room, and he's like like putting on music, and it puts on the LED lights, the whole thing. And I see like handcuffs like near his like thing. And I go, oh, I didn't know you were in criminal justice. And he like looks at me because I thought maybe there was like a textbook for him. Like I was like, that's so cool. And he's like thought I was. Because one thing about me is I've always been funny. But he was just like laughs, and he goes, "You're so quick. Like you always have like something to say." And I was like, "Yeah, my uncle's a firefighter. I don't. Why? What's going on? Citizen's arrest? I'm innocent." You know. But anyway, he like immediately takes out like a belt.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I actually have to leave now."
This was when you were a virgin?
I was a virgin, but I lied about it. I lied. He thought.
So scary.
I told him, I was like, oh, no, yeah, I lost it in high school at some point. Don't even remember.
Too cool.
You know how kids are. And I would lay it on so thick because to me, it was, like, embarrassing.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, sex, yeah, so good at that. But also, missionary, yeah, I went to Guatemala for those kids once. Like, just not... So
just dodging all of the
because I also grew up in the South where they don't teach you anything about
Are
sex.
you the one that was talking about last night? We had a little girls' night last night for my mentee B, but we were that was talking about thinking BDSM was an ASMR. Or was that a guy that
my
thought that?
ex-boyfriend. Yeah. He thought ASMR and BDSM, and I was with him for 5 years. It was perfect. And but I remember it was like there's so many little things about sex. So anyway, it was just this whole thing of like me trying to play through, and I've had way worse sex since then, don't get me wrong, but this I remember just like humiliating me to my core, like the worst sex moment for me.
Yeah, that was like the sex itself wasn't the bad part. It was just like that whole experience.
It was just like knowing how unready I was still.
Yeah.
And how uneducated I was about sex. And because I remember that was like, I immediately was like, hey, do you have like, oh, he also was not small. That was the other thing.
Yeah.
That I thought frame-wise, I could work with whatever he had probably because I didn't know anything. And I was like, oh no. Hey, can't do that. And
actually never been here before.
And I was like, I have to call my mom. But I remember I was like, do you have condoms? And he's like, I'm allergic to latex. And I was like, great point. I didn't mean to be disrespectful to your allergies. I'm allergic to cinnamon. And just like so uncool in this moment. And I like feel like when I went to college, I like wanted to be cool, like sorority type, like super, you know, but I wasn't cool at all. I still was not cool at all. And I remember like I did my makeup so bad too. Like I wore like, I wore so much contour, and I used that stick.
Yeah.
So I just, you know, I could almost get canceled for the way I did my contour. Let me say that right now. And so I remember
you were borderline.
I like wanted to leave so bad, and we like made out, and I was like,
That's not how you lost your virginity, though.
He was doing no.
Thank God.
He was doing something, and I was like on my stomach, and then I like rolled over to be like, I have to get out of here. And I look over, and his entire pillow is like orange and brown from my makeup because I caked it on so bad. And I remember because I also like dyed my hair like dark brown at the time, so it was like, oh. I was like, this is crazy. It looks like someone shit on his pillow. And
so he obviously called you again.
I was like, hey, I really have to go. Like, I don't feel good. And also, I lived at home because I live in, like, my family's from Knoxville. So I stayed at home and just commuted. And I remember I was like, my mom's called me twice. Like, I have to go. And he was like, oh, it's so crazy. Your phone's so silent. And I was like, it was just so bad. And I was like, oh, it was so bad. And it was like, but I definitely realized like how unready I was and how it's kind of okay if you like, even at 19, 18, if you're not ready for that, you're not ready.
No.
And it's like, that is okay. So I think like the worst sex moment was just me like putting myself in a position I wasn't ready for. And I remember it was like one of those things where it's like, I think about it all the time now. I kind of hold it in my back pocket that, you know, I would much rather just tell somebody, hey, like, I have no interest in doing that with you. Like, hey, like, this is a first date. Appreciate everything you've done. Don't, like, you're not super cool. I'm not having sex with you. I don't know. You don't feel comfortable with it. You know, I think I credit that experience of me lying about not being a virgin with a dude who was insane. He did play guitar in me. I know everyone was wondering. And
did you sound just like John Mayer?
Just like him. I just brought a tear to my eye. But I think that I hold that in my back pocket of a lot of times. Is like I would much rather just be completely transparent than put myself in a position to feel cooler or like feel like I'm doing the right thing or the cool thing or like what's gonna make someone else like think I'm cooler because I know I'm cool.
Yeah.
So me doing that, don't need to do it.
Yeah.
Just little 19-year-old Quinn with the fuck ass contour had to figure it out in a terrifying way.
Bro.
But I still like, you know what is crazy though? He was a poli-sci major. So like they do stuff with handcuffs, I think, right?
No. That's like political science. That's just like studying politics.
Hey. It's still corrupt. I don't know.
They are some bad boys, you know. They need
He's married now too.
Of course he is.
Mm-hmm.
Knoxville's not a far hop and a jump from Ohio.
Bless her heart, you know?
Bless her heart.
Or her, whatever.
I want to keep these and make some guests do this. I think that would be fun.
Sick.
But, well, what you got coming up? What's going on with you this weekend? You got shows?
I don't. Oh, I'm hosting Quarter Slots on Sunday.
Why does that sound like? I just feel like out of context. Like
it's 3 headliners at Sunset. They all 3 do 25 minutes. It's a great show. Great headliners. I'll be there, riffing up a little bit. Yep, that's it right now that I can think of.
Fun. Yeah. How's your new job going?
I love it.
Yeah. Quinn's a Marriott queen.
Yeah.
Were you starting that job when we were here last time? I don't think so.
No.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, Quinn's got a second job now.
I got a 401k, so better not speak to me crazy.
Whoa. She's moving up in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to work tonight and hopefully dodge some people, and that'll be fun.
Stab them.
Yeah, I might do that. I don't really have any other plans this weekend. I got asked to do a spot tonight, but it's when I'm working, so that blows. That always happens.
Yeah.
It's always on Thursday. People that run Thursday shows, book in advance, please. Like, people be asking me for Thursday spots on the Thursday every time, and I'm like, I work every Thursday unless I request off. I can't do it. That's last minute. Friday, Saturdays. I'll let your girl, please.
Just punching the air right now.
I'm literally like, it's making me so upset. Actually, it was somebody you sent my way. They messaged me. Yeah. I was like, I would love to, but
everybody eats. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Quinn said to me outside a strip club, "You're gonna be a star."
With a Marlboro Red in my hands. You know I meant it.
Yeah, she meant it.
It was a light, not a red.
All right. Well, this has been fun. We will be back soon. There was a larger break this time because, like I said, we had to get back from Vegas and get our shit together. I also was still dealing with whatever the fuck I had going on. Finally got some answers on that, by the way. I'm not dying, hopefully. But
we're all dying.
My lungs are giving up due to the cedar fever, basically, is what's happening to me. I had like bronchitis and shit or something. It was bad. But I'm still coughing, but that's probably because I can't stop vaping. We're going to work on that. Probably not. But other than that, we'll be back hopefully in 2 weeks. That's the plan. And we're going to bring a guest back for you. We're still ironing that out, who we want that to be, because, you know, they got to be fun and cool, but they'll be here. So, yeah, like, subscribe, comment, do all the shit that helps us. I don't really.
Everybody text the number 610-0 that he's gay. 610-463. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Send him a quick text.
And tell him to stop being obsessed with me.
Yeah. He's so obsessed with her, she's heard nothing from him.
He's trying to cope.
No, but for real, please support us. Please follow our Instagram if you're not, responsibly_unhinged. We would love to grow that out. We've been posting out a lot of content now that we have this dope studio and our lovely Josh behind the scenes. So come support his great camera and audio work and us yapping, and share and like our reels, please. Responsibly_unhinged. And you can follow everything else about us in the show notes. But we'll see you next time.